Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active. I'll start. I got a call from my dad, and he's like, Brandon, the pipes in the house aren't working. Like, no, the water's not coming out. I was like, oh, that's weird. So he went outside, he opened up the pipes, and I'm watching him through the window because I was like, I wonder what the issue is. Lo and behold, he takes out the pipe, and he starts taking out a bunch of the Love Gloves protection. Just rips them out. I thought you could flush them. Needless to say, there was 50 of them in there. My dad walked in with them in his hand with gloves on and had to talk with me. I was 16. It also caused $3,000 worth of damage, so I do not suggest doing that. Okay. Found out that you were sexually active.
I've been waiting for this one. So my parents had the rule growing up that you had to keep your door open when you had your significant other over. And so I had my boyfriend at the time. We were like 14. He came over and I decided I was going to break the rule that day. And I was going to shut my door and him and I were going to have fun. And we're, making out, doing what teenagers do. And I decided I was going to give him a Joe Blob. And so I'm down there and I'm doing the thing. And my dad decides to open the door. I'm completely choking on it. This man turns to me and he goes, "Dinner's ready." The sheer terror, I wipe my chin. Him and I go out there. My grandma's sitting there. My dad's sitting there. My brother's sitting there. We sit down and my dad says, "Yeah, I was going to let you know that we were having sausage, but I didn't want you to choke on this one too."
Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active.
So in high school, my friend dated my girlfriend's cousin. He felt the need to tell us at the lunch table one day that my girlfriend's cousin asked all three of them to have a threesome, but he didn't do it out of respect for me. So I'm like, if you had respect for me, you wouldn't have brought that up in the first place. And I like to play big on big, so I was like, bet. So I hit up his girl because she was a hoe, but he ain't know. So I was like, I know you're my girlfriend's cousin, but I've had a crush on you for a long time, and I want to mess with you low-key. Like, it could just be our little secret. And she was with it. So I got my payback. So shortly after, she felt guilty, so she told my girlfriend that my girlfriend told me that she knew, that my girlfriend told her mom, that my girlfriend's mom called my mom and told her, that my mom called my dad and told him, but this man lives all the way in Nigeria. This guy flew to America to have a talk with me. So one day after school, I come home and I see my dad in the living room and I'm like, "Oh, Dad, you're back from Nigeria. What's up?" And this man goes, "You are having sex?"
Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active.
Buckle up, this is a good one. Story time. Back in 9th grade, I'm like 13 or 14. I had been dating this girl since like 8th grade. We started having sex after about a year of dating. We were wholesome. Now, occasionally before school, she would walk to my house in the morning and we would do it. Yes, I was an asshole back then. I do apologize for making her walk. But anyway, after we would do, we would walk to school. Now, apparently, someone who knew her mother seen us walking to school. And after I got home from school, I got a call from her mother. I hear my girlfriend crying in the background. I don't remember what was said, but she showed up at my front door. My dad was taking a nap. She's banging on my front door. I answer the door. She yells, "You fucked my daughter!" My first response was, "No, I didn't." Next thing I know, my dad's running out, my stepmom's running out, it's all crazy. This is my dad looking like the Big Show, coming in like, "Well," choke slams me, picks up a table one hand and breaks it. Guys, so there's actually a lot more to this story. So here's part 2. If you haven't seen it, watch the first video. Now, after my dad came in, choke slammed me, broke that table, he's back outside arguing with this girl's mother. They're yelling loud as shit. Some of my friends from the neighborhood are outside watching. At some point, I looked out. My dad was pacing up and down the fucking street. He apparently calls my mom, who's back in Maryland. He's on the phone talking about, "I'm sorry, Deb, I failed you." Meanwhile, my mom would buy me the condoms and I'd fly back to North Carolina with them. She was just scared I was going to rat her out. Now, I don't remember much about the argument that proceeded. They eventually leave, and I'm basically on fucking lockdown for a while now. The parents are saying we can't even see each other outside of school anymore. Here's what always gets me. My stepmom said I should write a letter to her parents saying I'm sorry for fucking their daughter. And I wrote that letter.
Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active.
So I was moving out of the house, headed to college, and I hid all my, extracurricular items in my purse because my parents don't go through my purse. It was a safe place. I kid you not, the last run to Lowe's before they head back to Texas, and I trip in a pothole, and everything in my purse just thrown all over the parking lot. I'm there laying on my stomach like, oh my God. My parents turn around, don't even ask if I'm okay. They just see me lying there in the parking lot surrounded by a bunch of condoms and a vibrator. It was horrible.
Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active.
Oh my. Well, me and my boyfriend have been together for about like a year when this happened, and we were in the shower and we were FaceTiming each other because that's just what we do. And I usually tell him to be quiet, but he didn't feel like it. And this was like the day after we had sex, and I was taking a shower, and I was cleaning myself and everything, and I'm on the phone with him, and I'm washing myself, my body parts. And the day before, I was like peeing weird, like it smelled bad, and I was peeing bad, like it hurt. And as I was cleaning myself, I pulled out the tip of the condom. And we knew it broke. We got a plan B right after. But I pulled out the tip, and I was like, there was a condom in my vagina. And my parents were behind the door. Now I'm on birth control.
Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active.
When my husband and I were in high school, we used to have sleepovers. He used to stay over at my house quite often. And this one particular night, it was just like any other night. I was taking a shower. I got out. I walk into my room and I'm starting to feel really, really dizzy. And I pass out. I faint. I'm not entirely sure. But when I woke up, I rolled over. I threw up everywhere. My husband is just like, what the fuck? So he calls my mom, and my mom comes in, and she is also just like, what the hell is happening? So then the next day, my husband, and I all go to the doctor. We're waiting in the room, and the doctor comes in, and he was like, are you sexually active? And to avoid awkwardness, I said no. And he goes, oh, well, you're pregnant. 16 weeks, actually. 1, why ask? 2, fuck. I get this question all the time, and it's actually a lot more common than you think to have a cryptic pregnancy or to not know that you're pregnant until very, very far in. From about late October to late January, I was pregnant, and I did not know it. And from this month to this month, I took probably 15 to 20 pregnancy tests, and every single one of them was negative. I never had a positive pregnancy test until I got my blood drawn, and my blood was able to detect the HCG in my blood, in my system. That was what I found out I was pregnant. I got an ultrasound at that same appointment, and I found out that I was 16 weeks pregnant and I was having a girl. It was an eventful day, but it's very common. It's called the hook effect. It's basically just your body doesn't compute your levels. For my mom, I feel like she really didn't have time to have a reaction because we found out that I was pregnant. We found out that I was 16 weeks pregnant, and we found out that I was having a girl all in the course of a half hour. So I really feel like she didn't really have time to have an opinion. It was just like, okay, this is happening. Like, we're doing this. My dad, on the other hand, my mom is the one that told him. My mom told him. He went through a couple stages. First was obviously anger. He flipped a chair because he didn't know how to contain all of his feelings. Anger turned to disappointment, and he, sat me down and we talked. Disappointment turned to acceptance and just, what can I do to help you? And then, him and my daughter are like best friends now. So like we really went through that so we could get to this point of our relationship. No, I didn't really show until around I actually found out that I was pregnant. That was when it like popped, I guess. But the day that everyone found out that I was pregnant, I looked pregnant. And I chose the outfit that I wore that day specifically to try and hide the fact that I was pregnant, and it just didn't work. I feel like I was so used to how I looked that I didn't really think about how I would look to the outside world, like to other people. We were at a wrestling tournament at our rival school, and a mom walked up to me and asked if I was pregnant. And that was when I kind of took a double take at the room, and I realized that everyone was like,
but I have photos from that night that I can show you what I looked like. I thought that this outfit hid the belly so well, but you can clearly see a little something going on right there. And that was my side view. Everyone knew.
Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active.
When I was in my late teens, I was exploring my sexuality and like sowing my wild oats, if you will. And every time before I would leave, I would tell my grandma, like, oh, I'm going to the store. I'll be back in a bit. Or, oh, I'm going around the corner to a friend's house. I'll be back in a couple of hours, that type of thing. And then finally one night she stopped me and she said, I'm not stupid. She said, every time you leave this house to go on one of your adventures, you take a shower and brush your teeth before you leave. And then you take a shower and brush your teeth when you get back. She was like, you're out here being a hoe. And at this point, I'm caught. What can I say? So I just looked at her and said, you know what? Yes, I'm sorry, Grandma. Your grandson is a hoe. But at least you know he's a clean hoe.
Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active.
I had gone away with lying to my parents for years about this. And then 2 years ago, I went to Vegas and then I came back from my trip and I had pneumonia. I was sick for 3 weeks, like dying sick. And obviously that's not normal. So my mom's like, let's go to the doctor. So while I was at the doctor, you know how they give you those forms to fill out in the beginning to ask you if you're taking any medication, are you sexually active, you know, those kind of questions. I thought it was a good idea to be honest, because what if the reason why I'm sick is because I'm sexually active? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I didn't think my mom would see the forms or anything, so I thought I was safe. Tell me why I'm in the office with the doctor now with my mom and she's reading out the damn forms. She's like, so it says here that you're sexually active. Ma'am, if you will not shut the fuck up. It was the most longest, most awkward pause ever because I was trying to figure out a way to lie to this lady. Like, no, sorry, I just misread it and I accidentally checked the box. And then the doctor has the audacity to be like, sorry, oops, I hope that's okay that we talk about this in front of your mom.
Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active.
I got a good one. Hold on a second.
I've got all the bells with including an actual whistle and introducing my coach's notebook. In coach's notebook.
Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active.
So I'm filming this on her TikTok because it's about how I found out that her dad knew that we were doing the no pants dance. Anyways, so I was born in America land. I speak of the English. She was born in Poland and her family's from there, so they speak Polish. I don't. So one of the beams on her bed, underneath her bed, the plywood 2x4s, broke. Nothing to do with the sexual activity. And then she goes down and tells her dad and her mother and father and her little sister, who's 6 years old, are all in the kitchen, and I'm sitting on the stairs. And apparently he said something in Polish that I just didn't understand. And everybody starts laughing but me. And everybody's looking at me. So I look at Martina, and you don't want to know what he said. What did he say?
He said the sex must have been too rough.
Ask me how bad I wanted to die.
Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active. I'll start. I got a call from my dad, and he's like, Brandon, the pipes in the house aren't working. Like, you know, the water's not coming out. I was like, oh, that's weird. So he went outside, he opened up the pipes, and I'm watching him through the window because I was like, I wonder what the issue is. Lo and behold, he takes out the pipe, and he starts taking out a bunch of the Love Gloves protection. Just rips them out. I thought you could flush them. Needless to say, there was 50 of them in there. My dad walked in with them in his hand with gloves on and had to talk with me. Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active.
I got this. So I do the do with my then boyfriend. I'm 16, having a good time, everything's going good. 2 days later, I get my first UTI. I have no clue what to do. I'm in a ton of pain, my stomach hurts. So I asked my mom what to do. The first words out of her mouth, have you been having sex? I'm like, I don't want to lie to you. So she goes, okay, I'm gonna get you some Urostat. You take it 3 times a day. And drink cranberry juice and water. So I do. 2 more days goes by of this pain. Now I'm throwing up. It's red, it's consistent. It's been like 3 hours now. I don't know if it's blood. So I go to the doctor. My doctor has me take 2 urine samples. She comes back horrified. She goes, you should not have a UTI this bad at your age. You have like a full-blown kidney infection. You might need to go to the ER. So she writes me out of school for 7 entire days. During this time period, I'm unable to drink anything, I can't eat anything, I can't hold anything down. God damn it, I'll post part 2.
Tell me how your parents found out that you were sexually active.
Brother happened to come home. He looks at me and he's like, bro, you look like you're dying. And I'm like, bro, I am. He goes about his business or whatever. He decides to come into my room. He comes and like takes a good look at me. He decides that he's gonna call my mom and we need to go to the hospital. I don't look okay. So mom comes home, we go to the hospital. I get there and I faint. I don't remember getting into a hospital bed, but I did at some point. Doctor tells me I have a full-blown kidney infection and not 1 kidney, but 2 of them. He tells me it's extremely weird because I'm 16. He also tells me out of 100 being the worst, I was 98 on the dehydration scale. I was literally dying. So they pumped me up with a whole bunch of whatever. Tell me to go home, I'm gonna be out for another 2 weeks. And then my boyfriend tried to break up